So we can use any of the post with any of the suspension methods we're about to show you. But variable post, variable size, depending on your project. The photos we're seeing here, all they did was roll the acrylic. Just gives it a more decorative effect. They frosted the acrylic. There are just different ways rather than suspending a clear piece of plastic. Inside that post, I'm showing an example of a series 2, that is a 2x2 post. There's also showing the panel adapters. And what these are they suspend an 1/8" panel, a 1/4" panel, or a 1/2" panel. You insert your panel into the adapter. The fasteners are then hidden inside the post, and then we drop your panel inside our post and then cover it with the only exposed screws are the end caps. So the caps that are on top of the post, there are pre-drilled, you can see those 2 little C shapes inside the post. We refer to those as screw bosses. So anywhere we cut the post, those will be exposed at the top to accept your end cap.
So Dave, we do have a couple questions. First one is, how does it secure to the desk? How are you guys using mechanical fasteners? Or are you guys using tapes? Or how are we securing those posts to the desk?
There's multiple ways to do that, but let's refer to, right now you're seeing in the 3rd photo, you're seeing an end cap, and obviously that's at the top. But those screw bosses suspend all the way through the post. So we now have those screw bosses at the bottom of that post as well, in no matter what post you're looking at. Now we can attach that same type of end cap. We'll call that a base plate or a feet, but everybody's project is a little different. They're either taller than the next one, or where they're putting it. It depends on the size of the feet that you're requiring and the shape of the feet that you're requiring. So what we're going to offer you is the distance and the size of that screw boss so that you can route out your own feet. We're just going to give you where the screws need to be placed. Now you route out your own base plate, drill your hole, countersink your hole, and you'll be able to screw right into the bottom of your post and attach your feet through our screw boss.
Okay. And the adapters that are sliding in there, are they included in the kit cost, or is that an option?
They are included in the kit. So there's a couple choices you need to make. What size post would you like? And then the thickness of your panel, because there are 3 different panel adapters for 1/8", 1/4", or 1/2" material. And yes, those would be included in the kit. If you're buying it in lengths, we just include the length of the panel adapter along with the length of your post.
Okay, perfect. That's got the questions that I have so far.
Okay, well, what you're seeing here is a series 2 post, the 2x2. We've got an 1/8" panel adapter inserted inside, just kind of giving you a top view of what we're doing. The screw is hidden inside the post, so there are really no exposed fasteners except for those end caps. In this example, no matter how tall that post is, the acrylic panel suspends all the way to the top. You can route out the bottom of that panel for a cashier's window. Again, that shape, that size, the legs, the extension, those are all up to you on how you would like to design that panel. You can route that panel, give it a decorative effect. You can frost certain things. You can put their logos on there. But what we're seeing is some of these panels are rather large, and suspending that post, the height of that acrylic panel, it's more cost efficient to do what I'm showing you right here, is that all you need, say that's a 36", or excuse me, let's just use the numbers that are on screen. It's a 28" panel, but we don't need to suspend those structural posts the length of that 28 inches. So it's far more cost efficient for you to have a 16" post down at the bottom and use the acrylic. Now in an 1/8" panel, obviously you're not going to spend as high as you would with a 1/2" panel, but it is far more cost efficient to lower the height of your post, rather suspending it all the way to the top, depending on your panel, depending on your project and the look you're going for. If you look at this post, Shane, all the way down at the bottom, you see a base plate on each of these. SignComp offers, so this is a 2-inch post. SignComp offers, we already have for our Series 4, we have a round base plate and a square base plate. Those would attach to the Series 4 post, but you can buy that 4-inch pattern. In other words, that end cap from SignComp, put your Series 2 2-inch caps on the top, buy the Series 4 round or square, and attach it to the bottom. But that would be the only base plate we would offer. Other than that, you would route your own and then mimic the whole pattern that you have in your end cap on the top. But this is the most efficient way to do this. No matter if it's a Series 2, Series 3, or Series 4 post, there's no need to buy a 28-inch length of post for either size. So you may want to call SignComp, kind of talk through the engineering, what you're doing, how long is this thing. Most of these posts and panels are designed to go outside. In other words, they have engineered wind loads. We're not up against that. This is simply just a sneeze we're trying to protect here, or a cough. So having a shorter post and an acrylic panel is just a more efficient way of doing this. Here's a couple of drawings from different booths. Some carpet. That's a 28-inch piece of acrylic. That is a 1/4-inch piece of acrylic. We're looking at a distance across, let's call it 30 inches across, and we're only suspending that with 2 12-inch posts. So it just gives you an idea that just sitting on carpet, how stable these things really are. Can you attach that to your countertop? Do you need larger feet? Again, every project is a little different. If you've got a kid pushing against this, obviously that thing's coming down. Here we're looking at the inside of that adapter and how it attaches. So your acrylic panel just slides inside the adapter. These are not pre-drilled holes. You have to drill the hole. We do offer the screws. You're just gonna pre-drill the hole and then put your screw in. Now that panel is secured inside the adapter and it just slides inside any one of the post options. So if you want to suspend it off the ground, so in the lower right-hand corner, you're seeing a 3-inch post. We've got the panel adapter on the top, but if you wanted a filler down below, in other words, raise the entire panel up, again, saving a little cost to the acrylic, you have a suspension, and that's just a post filler. We call those reveal post fillers. They come in round or square. Again, it's just decorative appearances here to these panel adapters. Those same posts, we've shown a lot of examples of these mounted to or setting on a counter, but also a very popular application for these is to drill a hole, tap that hole, put in an eye bolt, and suspend these posts. This gives you a more decorative rather than drilling a hole and putting a chain and a hook through it. Again, more permanent applications, different size posts give you different aesthetics. You'll notice there's a hollow on the inside of the post. It's shown with a nut. That's not really a good example for me. Because if that thing's 2 foot long, how are you going to get that nut inside that post? My personal opinion is you're going to tap that aluminum and then screw that into your post. It's difficult unless you're putting it very close to the end. Get your fingers inside that hollow, hold that nut firm while you're screwing it in. So I don't want to mislead you, but yes, you can put a nut on it. You're going to have to suspend that eye bolt all the way to the end of that post. If you need those more centered, you're going to probably have to tap that application. But again, Series 2 through Series 4, you can suspend these.
Hey, Dave.
Sure.
We do have a couple. I'm sorry, I hit mute. We do have a couple more questions that I think I want to talk about real quick before we move on to the next thing. Earlier in the presentation, you were talking about the feet. You're kind of describing the feet. And one of the questions was, do you guys provide the drawings for the post
Yeah.
to us to create the bottom feet?
Yes, we'll give you the outside dimension of the post and the end cap that goes on it and where the screw bosses are placed, and also the size fastener that goes in there. So all you have to do is take whatever pattern you've routed out. If it's this elongated foot that you're looking for, you really are just going to take our CAD drawing. It's easier than that. You can actually outline your post and center your holes. You drill a pilot hole on the bottom of the foot. You would countersink so that the screws are flush. You would use an 1.5 inch or better screw at that point, and then screw your feet directly to the post. You can also weld, if you're using aluminum to aluminum, weld those to the bottom of your base plate to your post.
Gotcha. Okay. I know you and I have worked on a couple of different jobs here, and I just kind of want to reiterate to the group here. The best thing that we can do here is get the information from our customer. And because there are these options that, hey, I thought was great for my customer, and I was suggesting that, but when we got them on the phone with SignComp, there were other things that they talked about that actually ended up just like we had one comment from someone saying that they were worried that they were going to have posts going up all the way to the side of these acrylic panels, so they'd have 3 foot posts. Well, after talking to SignComp, they realized they didn't have to go all the way up because of the structuring. It was going to save them a lot of money because they didn't have to buy as many posts. So, guys, I want to reiterate to you that there are a lot of options here, and sometimes the best thing to do is to just kind of pick up the phone and kind of go over it with Dave or someone there at SignComp. Dave, we also had a question, and I'm not sure if now is a good time to ask it, but if it's not, then we'll hold it. But wanted to let you know that this question had come in. How do you recommend pricing these to the clients? Now, that's a very vague, open-ended question. And I'm not exactly, when I say vague, meaning are we talking about, are we doing it foot or recommended, I just had lost my train of thought. Anyway, up charges, how much are we going to mark it up, I should say. So there's all those things to consider. But, how are you guys? I mean, as far as you guys closing these by the 1s, the 5s, the 10s, how do you see through?
Well, from the SignComp side of it, obviously you can buy any of these type of applications come 20-foot lengths, some in 24. So you can buy it in lengths and or pre-processed kits. And just like any kit we sell in the sign industry, we will sell any denomination, any size, cut to your spec. But really, we're seeing an awful lot of these of 1 to 10, and then anytime we get over 10, then we price these as kind of a program, a volume price. So then they're really what they are is efficiency discounts rather than us pulling the extrusion, setting up the machines, cutting one kit. That costs X. If we're going to cut 15 kits, then we're saving all of that time. The extrusion's already pulled, the machines are all set up, and we'll offer those efficiency discounts. So it really is program by program, project by project, based on what your needs are. If there's miter cuts, you're going to see some more creative ones as we get into this, but the pricing is just like a sign. These are still frames. These are still, it's very simple for us to accommodate whatever your project needs.
Okay. And now, a couple of slides back, you showed where the acrylic extended upward past the post. Yes, that one right there. does the top cap have a notch to accommodate the substrate, or is that something they're going to have to do?
No, they're going to have to notch that based on the size, the thickness of their acrylic, but it's very simple. The cap is not that thick. They're just going to put it into their bandsaw and just cut a notch. And again, what they're mimicking, let's go back a slide. They're going to mimic on the right-hand side. All they're going to do is mimic that depth right there. See the 1 1/16? They're just going to notch into the center of the cap as deep as 1 1/16 on each one. If you notice, it doesn't matter if it's the 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, or 1/2 inch. They just notch back in the thickness of whatever the panel they're putting in.
Okay, and that's just the cap. There is the groove in there in the post, correct?
Yes, if the groove is in the post, that panel adapter drops into the post, but they're just doing it in the end cap. So here you see the end cap is flat, it's flush, it goes straight across. Here you see the acrylic is actually notched into that end cap. So those details are available. It's really not a difficult process. To be honest with you, you're not going to measure that 1 1/16. You're going to just cut back in. It's still very decorative in appearance. You just want at least 1 1/16 so that the panel will suspend through the end cap.
Gotcha. Now, on these options, do you offer these in anodized bronze or anodized silver?
No, the only 2 options, and it's not with 100% of them. So with the 13 post options, 50% of them are available. They're all available in mill finish. So just an aluminum finish right from the mill. But 50% of them are available in Duranotic pre-painted bronze. So those are your only 2 options that you have with the SignComp post.
Okay, and then one last question, then we'll move on to the next. But and I'm not exactly sure. It says, please discuss the options of the reveal in the post 3/8, 3/4. I'm not exactly sure
I believe what he's referring to is that, let me get back up here a little bit, that inside that post, every one of those posts, you'll notice there's notches inside that, the square, the hollow, the hole in the post. That is called a reveal. If we slide in a reveal, in other words, this square piece, I don't have any of these drawings, we can attach a cabinet between 2 posts, where here we're showing the panel suspended. But if you wanted to attach a cabinet between the 2, the reveal, this little U-shaped piece, is screwed directly to your cabinet. Your cabinet is now independent from your posts, and those 2 little legs on that U shape will either drop in flush, in other words, the hole that is inside the post, furthest inside the post, now your cabinet is flush with your post. If you move it to the center provision, it is now suspended. In other words, we're creating a reveal between your cabinet and your post, is now a 3/8 reveal. If you move it all the way to the outside of the post, that reveal is now 3/4 of an inch, but it doesn't work with the panel adapters. The panel adapters fit flush, so right through your post, you're going to see the acrylic suspend out of your cabinet. Suspend right out of your post. But if you were attaching a cabinet between these 2 posts, we have reveal options for you, which give you either a flush application, 3/8 or 3/4 inch.
Okay, perfect. I think that's got us caught us up for some questions as of now.
Yeah, I don't really show any post applications because that really wasn't what we were targeting. But here is another profile that we have. It's called a beveled frame. Now, you'll notice in the drawing up at the top, it just kind of shows a orange suspended panel. These are commonly internally inside that cavity. There are teeth. We usually put an adhesive and acrylic to aluminum adhesive in there. The actual opening will vary a bit from 1 110 to 138, I believe it is. I can't read it on my screen, but it's designed for an 1/8" panel. That 1/8" panel is forced into those teeth. If you're hanging it upside down, we're going to want you to put some acrylic in there. We want a little bit of insurance here. There are end caps and screw bosses for this as well. You'll notice in the next couple of slides. But remember, the base on this is only 2 inches, so you're not going to want to suspend a 4-foot post from this, or excuse me, a 4-foot panel from this. These are for lower profile applications, where we're just putting a barrier between two, or we're suspending this from a ceiling. It is a great option, holds an 1/8" panel. It says 125 on the drawing. The key to this panel right here is the 2-inch base, is that if you suspend too large a panel with this, obviously it's going to cantilever a bit here. So be cautious. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't route another piece of aluminum, attach it to this, and create a wider base. Again, here you would just drill a hole, countersink, and attach it to the bottom of that beveled frame. But that's all the engineering portions of this. We're never sure where you're putting these, but this is referred to as a beveled frame. The next one is our edge-lit application. It gives you the option to suspend up to a 1/2" piece of acrylic. Here, if you lit this application, your LEDs would slide internally inside this edge-lit profile. You can then have your LEDs at the bottom of it. We suspend that panel, and I'll show you some drawings as we get into this. But now lighting that, anywhere you put reflective vinyl, or if you route the application, the LED lighting will shine through the clear acrylic, obviously light the edges shown here with the SignComp detail, but also anywhere you route or scratch into that surface, it will light with the color of the LEDs and your application. So here, just showing you in a restaurant application, some barrier relief between the two, excuse me, between the different booths. That is becoming a very big demand in a lot of restaurants, is that they want the application. Otherwise, they have to jump. Every other booth is left empty due to the 6-foot, the perimeters that are required. Really what it gets to is if you bring your child to dinner and he's leaning over the counter like they normally do, you're into the next person's booth. This is a very decorative application. We're seeing these really here. Those are just sanded down and stained that you're seeing in the upper left-hand corner. But down below, that is reflective vinyl. There are just different ways to do this with this edge-lit profile. There are 2 different shapes to this profile. There's a full round and a half round, both suspending up to a 1/2" piece of acrylic. Again, by tapping it, you can suspend these applications. You can bolt that directly to a wall. You can bolt it to the countertop. Here, giving you a little bit of a wider base here, 3 1/4 in the half round and 2 3/16 in the quarter round. So again, in the lower right-hand corner, and obviously I can offer you better drawings, better assembly details, but here in this presentation, just showing you what solutions are out there. But that lower right-hand corner, again, we have end caps for these profiles. Down below the acrylic, you'll notice the acrylic is suspended. What we do is we put drill holes and put spring pins. The acrylic is then secured as you slide that into the extrusion. Down below that, it is now suspended above your LEDs, but your LEDs are very close to the acrylic, so we're shooting that LED beacon through that edge-lit application if you want to light these. A couple of different decorative applications that we've seen by miter cutting these. We are creating U-shaped applications. Here, kind of a bad drawing for me because I like the actual drawing in the left-hand corner that shows you where they just cut that off, put end caps and have that circle, that cashier's window wide open. But it gives you 2 examples. We can run that beveled frame the same way. We can do this with the post. So you can create different shapes. The acrylic itself is just bonded to itself. You're using a clear acrylic glue There's no need to have a structural provision running the vertical length of this. So we're just bonding the two pieces of acrylic together. So here is actually that application. We've built a couple here for SignComp countertops, also showing it in our booth display that we'll show you next week. But we can do these reverse miter cuts. We can cut these to any shape. You can create, you know, they don't have to be these rectangles or squares. We really just need your dimensions. How long are your panels? Where do you need the extrusion cut? SignComp will cut these kits to meet your specifications. Do you have any questions on that before I move into the last couple of slides here for barriers?
Yeah, Dave, we do have one question about that. That three-sided application right there, how firmly is that acrylic attached in that frame? Can it be picked up and moved from you know, say conference room to another conference room for people when they're talking? I mean, I understand this application with the reveal is more for like a cashier type thing, but talking more about like a three-sided deal like that, is it pretty stout?
Well, just to give you an example, that's a 4-foot table. So that's a pretty large piece. Last week when I took these pictures all the way back the other end of our warehouse, these were in our booth for a display. My concern was how well is the acrylic bonded, not how well is the acrylic inside our frame. There is no problem with the attachment from the acrylic to the frame. I was concerned walking across the warehouse carrying this by myself. Is this acrylic going to crack away? I'll be very honest with you. It's just a simple acrylic glue. There's not a lot of, it's sold at every, you know, GSG's got this in your inventory. So they are very stout. I was very surprised as I carried this across and moved it to take different pictures and angles. We have one on our countertop here at our reception desk. It's a very stout application. This is actually the one is the quarter round. It would be even more stable on that countertop if I had used the full round, half round, excuse me. So they're very rigid.
Another question, have you tried to heat bend the acrylic, maybe V-route it first and then bend it instead of just gluing it together?
That's a fabrication method. You're dealing with a stupid extrusion guy here. There's got to be more scientific ways than what SignComp just bonding two pieces of acrylic. We were very impressed. We just bonded the two pieces of acrylic together to see if we could break it apart. Couldn't do it, so we just built the display out of it. But I am not your answer guy. What you do need is a true 90-degree corner to fit inside the extrusion, and that's about all the acrylic to acrylic bonding method that I can assist you with.
Yeah, so if you are heat bending it, you may have a little bit harder chance, tougher time bending that to 90. May have more of a radius on it, so that might be.
Well, what we can do, and you're just going to have to give us the specifics of that radius where the two pieces or the one piece of acrylic is rolled. I'm going to need to know the radius at that corner because we're just cutting a straight 90-degree here. If you needed that bottom piece notched out so that it would fit that form, I'm sure we could do that for you. It's just we're going to need to talk. We're going to need some details from the customer.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's got us caught up for that section.
The last couple slides here is suspension, and what we're doing is barrier protection. Not only are we offering frames for sneeze guard applications, this is barrier protection. So as these concert venues, as these sporting venues begin to open up, as we get into fall, hopefully we have a football season. What we're seeing is an awful lot of the professional sports have fallen in love with our Series 4 post. The Series 4 post is a 4-inch post. It allows you to go in one direction, or it allows you to suspend as shown here in 4 different directions. And those posts, because they're shown with a panel adapter, if these were to be moved, again, I'm not offering these base plates, depending on how you're moving these around. But picture that upper right-hand corner. where those two panels are now at a 90-degree. Inside the other openings, we just slide in a filler. So you can see in the drawing that two of the panels are going in two directions, and yet the other two holes are filled with just fillers, radius fillers that mimic the post. But if they want to move these barrier applications, all they do is take off the cap, slide out the panel, that barrier protection, and they can reconfigure this. They can change that 90-degree to the other side. They can suspend them in a straight line. There are multiple ways we're seeing this application pulled together with these Series 4 posts. One of the ones that was very popular in the beginning, and I'm sorry I can't show those pictures due to confidentiality, but many of the hospitals were requiring that they had these little mobile stations out in their parking lots. Inside those parking lot area, they were putting in, that's just simply a piece of an aluminum panel. Here it's used for wayfinding. They're just attaching another cabinet to that aluminum panel and giving you directional wayfinding for a train station, bus station. But what they were doing were taking those aluminum panels and cutting out windows. They were actually adding doors to the back side of it where they could enter into these large cubicles, and again, changing these panel sizes constantly. But internally on these panels, they were actually giving you tests for, you would drive up to these things and give you COVID tests. It was giving them secured barrier applications. So inside they were attaching shelves. They were doing all their medical equipment was stored inside, and then these things were portable to the next location. So what it does is just give you a very structural post, 4-directional to 1-directional. You can attach anything to these. The upper left-hand corner, and that's kind of the only example where earlier somebody was asking me about that reveal. On the left-hand side, it's showing a panel adapter coming out. On the right-hand side, it's actually showing a cabinet suspended, and that is set at the center reveal, the 3/8 reveal. So by moving that little C channel in and out of that post, it gives you either a flush application or up to a 3/4 reveal. But we can suspend anything from here. The lower picture is just an application photo of Penn State. It's just showing you Series 4 posts and large panels attached to it. Again, most of the barrier protection that we're seeing for these long-term applications have confidentiality, and I can't share a lot of these photos, nor am I allowed to travel to take these photos. So I'm just showing you applications for a Series 4 post. Like I mentioned in the introduction, and some of you happen to miss that, is that acrylic has become a commodity. It's in demand. It's difficult to get your hands on quantities of clear acrylic panels at this time. And so if you're creating a cashier's window, or you need visual contact, or you need to be able to slide something underneath that cashier's window, acrylic is your best option. But if you're creating barrier protection between two individuals, or in these airports, where you're crossing each over, or just pick an amusement park like Disney World, where you're in these very large lines, you're 2 feet away from each other. For them to be able to suspend those lines, they're putting in fabric protection. So SignComp's fabric tensioning system does not require a silicone bead to be sewn to it. You're just putting together I'm going to go right down these photos. That one is just a bead. All that is a big old piece of fabric suspending the two office sections from each other. But the next photo shows you an assembled frame. Inside that frame are these two rubber grip strips. Those rubber grip strips, as detailed in the center, when you push the fabric inside those rubber grip strips, showing in the center photo with that red squeegee, all we do is go around the perimeter of the frame and push with a common squeegee. Honestly, a credit card works. Pushing your fabric into the grip strips tightens that fabric. Silicone beads are not required. We're mounting these back to back. In other words, bolting two of these together back to back and giving that framed appearance that we've suspended in this post. So all you see around the perimeter of the finished product is just that very sleek looking black perimeter and then that panel. Most of these panels are not printed on, they're just common fabric creating a barrier. The lower photo of the girl that we're tensioning into place, you'll see this little black piece of tab that sticks out of the frame. What that is a pull tab. In most of our competitors, you have to sew that pull tab onto the fabric before you tension it. Our pull tab stays with our frame. So when you pull that tab, it ejects the fabric and allows you to change that image. So that's just how the tensioning system works. But it's just another great option to get you away from the cost of acrylic if you can print on fabric and it is not a visual barrier that you're looking for. It's more of a personal barrier. The fabric tensioning system, very inexpensive, very easy to fabricate, very easy to tension, gives you these very decorative looks.
That's very interesting, Dave, because I mean, I haven't even really thought about that, but yeah, we know as far as distributors, and I'm sure most of the sign companies that are on here, how hard it is to get acrylic right now and polycarbonate or anything. And I had not even thought about, using fabric to separate workspaces that don't need to be seen through. So that's a very interesting something I hadn't thought about yet.
Well, it's just like if you've been into any office complex, usually those cubicles are all fabric applications, and it's really just a post suspending a piece of fabric, and that's what kind of triggered the idea, is that we have those cubicles here at SignComp. Why couldn't we do this with our frame tensioning system? So in these last photos and drawings, the lower right-hand corner. Go ahead, Shane.
Will it accept, will that, what you just showed us, will that accept a 13-ounce banner?
I do that every time. I hesitate every time. Yes, it will tension a 13-ounce banner. The issue is, in this application, yes, it will do that. Exterior applications, no. It is not a tension clip. It is not a wind load approved application. If you push on a fabric, the fabric gives, it's a textile, it has a thread count, it will bounce back. If you push on a piece of vinyl in this SignComp front, we call it a front load tensioning system. You push on the vinyl moves out of the grip strip and now it's got a sag in it. It will not bounce back. So you can tension it in there. You can get it tight. You can get it taut. But if a child walks up and pushes on it, that vinyl will now pull out of the grip strip just enough that it doesn't have this tight, drum tight tensioned appearance. So I hesitate to say yes, but I see it done all the time. I would not put it on the side of a building. You're going to be very disappointed.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So just looking at the lower right-hand corner, you're seeing feet, very elongated feet on the bottom of those posts. Those are not supplied by SignComp. Those are routed out by the customer, but they are attached to the post, and that's what we were referring to earlier. What you see above in the picture is a 3¼ inch post for a sneeze guard, like over the top of a food application, but those are attached to the Series 4 end cap. That end cap then extends out along either side. You just countersink your screw holes and drill it. I wish I had it earlier. I could have just used it to describe a few things, but we offer a 4-inch round end cap. That is it. It fits flush on the Series 4 post. It gives you a 4-inch base to the Series 2, gives you a 4-inch, take your own and just mimic our screw boss. So these are available in full lengths. We'll send you the assembly hardware as required. We'll cut these kits with all the assembly hardware based on your dimensions, your project, your program. We do volume program pricing. In other words, I'll just drop a name. You've got 15 McDonald's in your backyard and they all want something. That's a program. You've got something where you need multiple kits. Make sure we're aware of that. If you buy them one at a time, you're going to pay for them one at a time. If you eventually need more than 10, let us know that and we'll establish a program price for you. All of these will come with assembly drawings and our bill of material. In other words, what is included in them. But as some of these projects are unique, you need your post cut a little shorter than your panel, just give us a call. We'll walk through all of your project specifications and make sure we're giving you the product you're asking for. That is the end of that. And I thought this would be short. This extended on, which is a good thing for me. I'm not sure. I didn't mean to tie you all up today.
Well, I think it's great. I think we had some great questions today, Dave. And I know this series has been well received. I know we're getting tremendous feedback from our customers about it. And, you know, I'm hoping that everybody that's on this is benefiting something, you know. Like I said, I learned something today, something new today. I know Matt Smith made a comment. He learned something today. He's been in the sign business longer than you know. Well, you know, I think he had to chisel his signs. So I do have a question. Has GSG made a way for us to download these videos? They will be downloadable. We are making some edits currently on these videos, and we will get them up to I believe they're going to be posted to our YouTube page. We may even make them some links available through social media and things like that. But I will tell you that when this series wraps up, you guys will get some information on how you can download, not necessarily download these videos, but absolutely be able to view them and show them to your staff. So
Shane, also at the end of every one of these sessions, when I get their email address, I have been emailing out the actual presentation, but due to size, I'm not sure if some are kicking back. But if you need these before GSG has them loaded up, please just contact SignComp. I copy all our customer service reps in on these after we're completed with them. And I'm sure there's a different way we can email them to you. I'm just not the tech guy that you're looking for. I'm sure our marketing director can get these to you if you need them. If you just need an individual slide or two in a PDF, we can get that over to you. So please reach out. We look forward to hearing from you. And again, I apologize for running late, but thank you. Next week, we're going to take you through our entire booth that we would have set up at ISA. There's a lot of new advancements in that booth. We figured since we were ready to go and we couldn't go, that we're going to walk you through it. So over the last couple of weeks, we've got that booth set up here in our warehouse. I'm going to try to figure out a way to kind of zoom you through that. And again, in 30, but I would assume this is going to be a 45-minute to walk you through our very large ISA booth, kind of give you a taste of all the different things that SignComp offers, but can't really get into depth as if you were visiting the booth itself. So look forward to next week, and I thank you again for all joining us.
Thank you very much, Dave. I agree with you 100%. Looking forward to next week. Once again, anybody have any additional questions? And, you know, we've got this information here. Also, reach out to your sales, GSG sales rep that invited you to this, and we look forward to seeing you. Well, I got a question. What's next week on? Next week's going to be basically a virtual tour of the ISA trade show booth of SignComp. So.
We have so many examples of completed signs, and literally every profile that SignComp makes is going to be on display. And the word Zoom is a perfect way to describe it. I am going to zoom you through that booth in 30 to 45 minutes and show you all the different applications. They are not to scale sign. Well, they're to scale assembled cabinets. They're just not large. Everything's 4 foot or under, but there are all sorts of flex tensioning to fabric displays, vandal systems. if SignComp makes an extrusion, we're gonna walk past an example of it. But my fear is that there's so much information, we're just gonna kind of walk you through a booth. But that one should get a lot of feedback. There's an awful lot that we have added to this year's booth, and then unfortunately, due to all the crisis across the United States, we've canceled all of our events almost this year. So we thought we'd bring that tour to you.
And then also, guys, keep in mind we're gonna have some, just general discussion. So you guys are gonna, after he gets finished with the booth, you guys are gonna run the show with your questions and answers. So just come loaded with questions for Dave. If we stay on for 30 minutes, we stay on for 30 minutes. If you've got 6 hours worth of questions, Dave will answer 6 hours worth of questions, won't you, Dave?
Absolutely.
Guys, have a great week. I hope everybody had a safe and happy 4th of July. Thank you for joining us. Y'all have a great week and happy selling. We'll see y'all soon.
Thank you, Shane.
Bye-bye.